Not every film can be Citizen Kane, but even critics have claimed that it was shit in its day. Some films are shit and shit they will stay, but some get better over time because of Nicolas Cage. So which film stays shit forever? And which one's got a little bit better? Second chance movies. No poor bloods were harmed in the making of this podcast.
Welcome to Second Chance Movies, the podcast where we rewatch movies and decide if they deserve a second chance.
I'm Joe Harper, your host who loves rewatching movies and hitting that snooze button on the morning alarm.
And I'm Jessica Kwazz, your host who's a one and done kind of movie viewer who suffers from insomnia, sleep paralysis, and night terrors.
Yikes.
Yeah, this movie hits home. And that movie is the 2010 remake of Nightmare on Elm Street.
This is continuing our rebooted versions during the 2000s era of our classic horror movies.
So this is the last one in our little series of remakes from the mid-aughts. Wow, what a ride.
Yeah. And just a warning for everyone who's hasn't tuned into any episode. Spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about that movie and probably other movies. So let's get started with Nightmare on Elm Street. For those of you who do not remember, it's a Freddy Krueger movie. He attacks people in their dreams with his little claw fingers. Let's get into the IMDb's synopsis. All right. I already don't like the synopsis.
Oh boy.
The specter of a disfigured man haunts the children of the parents who murdered him, stalking and killing them in their dreams. First of all, I don't really consider him a specter. Second, I think they spoil it by revealing that he gets murdered by parents.
Totally. Like that is part of the thing that our characters learn along the way that comes towards the end. I mean, odds are like if you know Nightmare on Elm Street, you didn't kind of know that, but like guys, like that gives a lot away up front.
This movie, let me just say, Freddy Krueger kills teenagers in their dreams. Done.
Him.
And they're trying to figure out what, so they got to stay awake to figure out how to kill him or stop him.
Let's get into our first time with this movie.
I watched it when it came out on like DVD. I didn't see it in the theaters because I have never seen a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. I've seen Freddy versus Jason, and I think that's the first time I've seen Freddy. The most I know of Freddy comes from one of the Treehouse of Horror Simpsons episodes where Groundskeeper Willie is essentially Freddy killing kids in their dreams. And that's as much as Freddy as I get. So going into this, the first time way back, like 10 years ago, it was all right. It was just like every other slasher, just kind of like meh. It was meh in my eyes.
Okay, I also saw it in 2010. I did see it in theaters with some of my friends, and we were like, "Ooh, spooky! Ooh, yeah." I liked it. I liked it the first time around. I enjoyed it. I thought it was like a good remake, but a lot of people do not feel that way.
Yeah. Oh man, boy, don't they? I can tell you right now, Rotten Tomatoes. Ooh, that tomato meter is at 15%. That is one of the lowest we've ever seen.
That's unwarranted.
Audience score 43%. So even the audience didn't like it. And as someone who doesn't like think highly of this movie, I also don't think poorly of this movie. This is the exact medium right down the middle of what I expected, and nothing upsets or bothers me about it. Is just fine the way it is. So I know what I'm getting into. It's
okay. Well, let's get into what other people thought of the Nightmare on Elm Street remake.
Okay, well, let's always start off on a positive note because we want to, Okay, let's start off with Christine Champ of film.com. Freddy's back, and he's slicker and more sinister than ever.
Oh, Freddy's back with a makeover, baby.
I do think his look in this is better. Just because like it looks like a burn victim's face rather than like burn makeup.
Yeah.
You know, like a weird, goofy, like this is the goofy character Freddy versus like this is someone who's burned alive. Like
oh yeah. No, I
looks
will say the look is way more sinister, way more intimidating. And I do find him to be, I guess, sleeker, just simply because of that, because he just looks better. Absolutely. Neil Miller from Film School Rejects wrote, Haley's Krueger doesn't just look like a deeply unhinged burn victim out for some gruesome revenge. He is a complete embodiment of evil, and it's terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, I always know him from the Watchmen movie. That's like my go-to movie.
Yes.
I also have seen him in Little Children, which is his Oscar-nominated performance.
Okay, I have not seen that, but doesn't he play a creeper in that too?
I believe, does play a creeper in that movie.
I don't know.
So I mean, he's good at playing creepers. Good for him. Good job being a creeper. Jeff Beck of Examiner.com. Many people have already made the mistake of holding this film up to the original, expecting it to be just as good, but it just isn't. However, taken on its own, it's still an entertaining horror film and an interesting take on the material.
Okay, we've seen reviews like this for the other remakes. I think that's a dumb take. So stupid to say, like, on its own, it's good, but if you compare it to what it's remaking, it's bad. Why does that all of a sudden factor in whether it's good or not? I don't get that. I think that's dumb.
Yeah, if you like the movie,
yeah,
it was good.
If you think it's good, then like, why is it all of a sudden bad because it's not the original? The fuck out of here.
Michael Compton of Bowling Green Daily News. I think it's a film that succeeds within its own boundaries. For that, it deserves faint praise. It's definitely the best of the recent horror remakes.
I don't disagree.
I will, because you know what? We'll list our favorite of these remakes. We'll have our little order towards the end if we remember.
Okay. Heather Wixon with Dread Central wrote, the solid performances, stunning cinematography and visuals, and revamped and brutal Freddy makes this a Nightmare on Elm Street worth checking out.
I do think its visuals can be really well.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
There's a couple of shots I probably wrote down on my notes that was like, ooh, I like this. This is...
Yeah, I don't think the performances are bad. I think the cast is quite interesting in its myriad of people that show up. But I would say, like, yeah, the performances are pretty solid. Especially Jackie Earle, he's killing it, literally.
Let's just dive into people hating on this movie.
There's a lot of it.
Why did everyone dislike this movie so much at 15%?
That's so bad.
That's low.
It's so low.
Amy Simon of Three Imaginary Girls. Dear makers of this thing, you guys are doing it wrong. So much so that I want to get you in a room and say, I don't believe in you. You're not real until you disappear.
Damn. She's got feels.
Amy, what? That doesn't explain why you hate this movie so much.
Right. Like, what did they do that was so wrong that you feel the need to yell and berate them until they disappear and they no longer exist on this planet? Like, girl. All right. James Bertinelli with Real Views wrote, welcome to 2010, Freddy Krueger. You were scarier in 1984.
He definitely wasn't scary.
He definitely wasn't.
Yeah,
He
was that was
way more ridiculous. Yeah, like, bro. Okay, so this review, I don't understand it. So here we go. Steve Garrett from Time Out. Jackie Earle Haley's Krueger is a blast, but the child molester twist is more depressingly cynical than dream logic harrowing. Like, Steven, did you watch the original? Because the child molester part is not a twist. Like,
Yeah, that's what we know him for.
there. Yeah, like that, like granted, like they get more into that part of the backstory than the original. The original is just kind of like Nancy's drunken mom is like, hey, I touched you. Like pretty much. Yeah.
Oh no.
Essentially. Whereas in this, we get flashbacks, we get more like details. So there is more in it, but like it's not a new twist. It's not like a fresh take on this character. It's something that's been around, bro.
Bob Grimm of Reno News and Review. While Haley makes for a decent Freddy, other members of the cast kill the party.
Oh, like Oscar nominee Rooney Mara.
Whoa. What is she nominated for? What Oscar was she nominated for?
Wasn't she nominated for like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo or something?
No way, that was an Oscar nomination.
I think, that at least got a Golden Globe. I remember that.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe
wow,
Carol.
Wow. Oh, I'm already on IMDb. I have to find his Nancy. Nominated for 2 Oscars. Carol and the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
I was right. That fucking movie got her an Oscar nomination.
Oh my god. Oh wow.
And she's really not doing anything new in Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. She's literally just playing like a hacker punk.
Yeah.
Like, I got a nose ring and I'm bad.
I mean, I always know her from the classic Social Network, but she's only in like the one scene, but just referenced a hell of a lot in the movie.
Yeah, because he's pissed.
Especially for her being our lead. I'll get into what I think about her later.
All right. Well, we got our favorite sassy bitch coming in to talk shit about horror remakes. Okay. I think this take is very just him. It's just so him. All right, here we go. Roger Ebert, Chicago Sun-Times. He said, I stared at A Nightmare on Elm Street with wary resignation. The movie consists of a series of teenagers who are introduced, haunted by nightmares, and then slashed to death by Freddy. So what?
That's it. That's the movies. I like it.
Yeah, it's like, that's the movie, and that's what it has been, and like, so what? I mean, you could, honestly, you could say that about any fucking movie. So what?
So what?
So what? Who cares? So what? Thanks, Roger. Top of his game. Come in with us. So what?
Well, so what? We watched it. And you know what, Jessica, what did you think of this movie the second time around? Were you just as pumped the first time?
I don't know if I'd use the word pumped.
Right.
But I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. I think that this is, for me, a fun one to throw on around Halloween when you're getting into spooky season. Like Joe had previously stated, it's entertaining to watch. It might not be memorable, but it's still, there's something entertaining about it. Granted, like I had it on and I was like doing other stuff while watching it because
how dare you do that when we're focusing on our podcast?
I still took notes, so I was still like engaged.
Can I?
But like, had I not been doing anything other than watching this movie, I don't know. Like, I don't know how I feel. You know.
So I was focused on this movie. I was watching intently. I took a pause halfway through, watched the second half at another night. I did fall asleep kind of at the end towards the end, which was kind of funny. I was like, oh shit, I'm falling asleep. Freddy's gonna kill me. I will say, because I have it on Blu-ray, oh man, when I put this into the PS4 to play it, push it'll play, commercials pop up. And this is commercials from 2010 about Blu-ray and how amazing Blu-ray is. Blu-ray. You need to watch Watchmen, 300, The Dark Knight. create your own video commentary. Like, it was showing me all the fucking things Blu-ray was possible. And I was like,
God.
no one uses any of these features. Like, it's like, or at least I don't. Everyone does these things, but like puts it on YouTube.
Right.
Make your own video commentary. It's the best way to watch movies at home ever. Just talking about how crisp the picture is. Oh man, I did not hear the end of it. With the commercial just ran on for fucking ever. Yeah, and so, which was great. So then I once this is finally over, I hit play a movie, and it has the suggestion like, do you want to go back from the last time you watched this? I haven't watched this movie in probably 9 years. You know the spot where I left off?
Blu-ray,
Hell yeah,
baby.
Blu-ray, you're bringing me back. All right. One thing that I did notice instantly was, you know, all the imagery, just because of the perfect CGI. Can we talk about the imagery real quick?
Sure. Let's get into the imagery of A Nightmare on Elm Street remake.
So I just think there's a lot of shots in this movie that are just done well.
I would agree, yeah.
One of my favorites is when Rooney Mara is in the tub and the suds, and it's just Freddy's hand coming up and then just sinking right back in. Ooh, it's creepy.
That is in the original.
But I don't know. I'm looking at it as a blank slate.
So that is like a very iconic shot in the original. But again, it's way more hokey. Like, it's way more hokey and like 80s, like cocained out weird vibe. This one felt like, ugh, like, whereas in the original, it's like, and Nancy's like, like, so cheesy. I think that brings up a really good point for me, that there's certain shots that happened in the original that we have now that just look better. They just look better. You can't argue that. There are times where it's like, wow, yeah, this has been 11 years. Like, some of the CGI has aged, which is,
but some of it is still really good.
Yeah.
Like when the classroom turns to like ash.
Yeah,
I thought,
that looks good.
This looks good.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that in the trailer, and that was what I was like, I want to go see this.
Yeah. So at
I've
some
never
points
seen a
it
Freddy.
looks good. Sometimes I think the lighting and the sets are really cool, like really well done, and add more to this, like, this mysticism of like this dream nightmare that he's taken over. I like it. I like how, you know, the look of the creepy basement he's in, like the creepy boiler room he's in. Like, we didn't really get that in the original at all. So I think that's a really cool update, is like, while the dreams might not be like most original in terms of like the concept of the dreams, the look and the feel of the dreams are great. I think they're really good. So I think the visuals are really, really stellar, actually, for this kind of movie.
One visual I did not like was when Chris, I think she's the blonde in the movie.
Okay.
Freddy is like in her dream and makes her like float and fly in the room.
Yeah.
And like bonk around on the ceiling. That looks so stupid.
So that looks really dumb. I would agree. And that is sort of like this weird updated version of the original. And the original, like, so I would say in this case that the original has a better take on that. And that, like,
that was a copy of the original.
Kind of, only they were like, it's 2010, let's get crazy. Because
did they have to film it like upside down and
make
it look like it was the ceiling?
It looks really good, I think, in the original as well, and it's way creepier. Where, like, so the structure of the movie is very similar in that first we start off with like this girl, I don't think her name's Chris, but we start off with another girl, and then she dies, and you're like, oh shit, and then we go to Nancy. So that's also similar. So in the original, we have the very similar situation of like her boyfriend is spending the night and then he goes to jail for her murder.
His like running outside.
Yeah.
Do it. You look so guilty about this.
So guilty.
You're covered in her blood, and the first thing I didn't do it. I didn't kill her. I
right.
loved her.
Like, oh no, honey. in this, like, and then I'll stop making so many comparisons because now I sound like a fucking critic. But in the original, it's not
You
like
are.
it's not just like her being lifted and then like whacked around like a dummy. It's that like this girl gets out of her bed and then like the wall that's closest to her bed, he's like pinned her on it, and she's like asleep and she's pinned against the wall and she's kind of like moving up the wall. So the boyfriend's like, whoa, what's happening? And then while she's pinned to the wall, bam, we get like the cuts across her. So it looks good in that it's like she is moving, she's out of bed, this is larger than life, what the fuck is happening? But yeah, she looks really dumb just being smacked around like in her dream. Plus Freddy's not like yeah, he's in dreams can do whatever he wants, but like he's throwing a girl around a room. Like, so one thing that I like about this movie is the backstory, and I guess not everyone likes this, that's fine. But I feel like in this version we get more of a complete backstory on Freddy. Whereas in the first one we get the details, but they're told in a weird sort of way where it's exposition. And it's Nancy's mom wasted, just like, yeah, I don't know, this guy.
He was the groundskeeper. He touched you.
Yeah, pretty much. And then like her dad, so Nancy's dad is in the original and he's a cop. So we never say like we fucking killed him because daddy's a cop. We can't be talking like that. So it's but it is sort of like we took care of him, you know. Whereas I feel like in this our characters are going on a journey to find out the truth, and that's more interesting than in the original where Nancy's just like, Mom, tell me, because that's essentially what it is. And then she's like, fine. In this we also get flashbacks, so we get like kind of a visual. The one thing that is different that I don't know how much I love is that at first the kids are like, he didn't do anything to us. Like the teens are like, we were 5, we would have said anything. But then it turns out like, oh no, we really were molested. Like, whereas like, I don't think we needed that pause of like, he might be innocent because he's a psycho.
Yeah, we don't need any like, we don't need to feel sympathy towards Freddy.
Right. So that's strange. But I think there is a creepier element to like learning more about Freddy and like why he's pissed at these kids and their parents. It's opposed
such a dark reason for him too.
It is.
You guys tattled on me for diddling you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna murder you guys when you're teens.
Like,
because I still like you right now, but I'm gonna wait till you're teens.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna diddle your brain while you sleep.
While he's running away from the parents, in like the reveal that the parents murder his ass, which I'm like, fuck yeah, fuck this dude.
Yeah.
The parents are driving after him and he's running on foot and outrunning them on foot, which I thought, this is weird.
Yeah, he's got some super strength in this movie. What can I say?
But that was before he gets burned and turns into a specter. Whatever the fuck he is. There's no really explanation for what he is or why he's waited 15 years to do this.
Right.
How he's able to do it.
Right. We don't get any of that. And we never really have. So.
Oh man, just think of this had a sequel. And we would have gotten our answers.
We could have gotten some answers.
Can we talk about this cast?
Yeah, let's talk about the cast, because the cast is bonkers in the best way possible.
So it's like a lot of young, new faces that some have stuck around with us, some haven't stuck around with us.
Like Kellen Lutz from Twilight.
He starts off the movie with being possessed by Freddy and slits his throat in a bar right at the beginning. I was like, oh shit, Twilight guy's in this.
Yeah.
Oh, no, he's not.
Yeah. I thought that was a very strong start, especially for 2010, because he was just in Twilight. He was a big name. Like he was the thing. And then it's kind of like the Drew Barrymore and Scream of it, where you're like, oh, but we gonna kill him. And I think it also is a very strong start to see him dreaming in this diner and then like what other people are seeing outside of that. I thought that was really interesting. But yeah, Kellen Lutz, Twilight.
We should have had more of that throughout the movie of like what other people see while these people are asleep and dreaming.
Yeah.
Can we just talk about Rooney?
Yeah, Rooney
So,
Mara
Rooney,
is Nancy.
Two-time Academy nominee, Rooney. To me, she just, I don't know if this is the character or the actress. Doesn't look like she wants to be in this movie. She just looks like,
I would argue there's a lot of movies that Rooney Mara looks like she doesn't want to be there.
So that might just be that poor girl's face.
It could be.
But, you know, for the right role, not Academy Award nomination.
Girl in the dragon tattoo, you don't want to be here. Thank you.
I don't want to be in a movie. Freddie's gonna kill me.
I will say she is very different from a typical like horror final girl. I think it's cool that she's different than most, but at the same time, like I don't know if Rooney Mara like has all of the charisma to be like the final girl that's gonna carry us to the end. Because it's like at a certain point, yeah, it just kind of feels like.
Maybe
did you like this movie at all?
It's like the unexpected though. The like quiet shy girl is the one that's gonna
yeah
Freddie in the end.
Right. And I do think that is interesting, but it's just so random to have her as our lead. I really forget that she's our lead. She wasn't really anybody when this came out. It's just interesting.
We do get one of your personal favorites, Connie Britton.
My girl Connie.
Oh,
she's
man.
a mother. Yes.
The entire time I was like, why did she take this small supporting role? It was just a weird choice. But then she also, big spoiler, is the last person to get murdered. And that was like such a shock to me. Because I didn't see that, like, you know, I didn't think the mom's ever gonna get murdered in this. She's just like a side character, not one of the kids. And she's just saying goodbye to her daughter, or like they're talking at night, and the mirror is weird behind her. Freddie's hand just knives through her face and pulls her into the mirror. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Could have been a fun sequel.
Yeah, because that leaves so many like fucking questions up on the table. Like, was this her dream? Was some of the was this all her dream? Was this like the tail end of her daughter, you know, and life on the line? Was that a dream?
I didn't even think about that.
You know, like what the fuck does that mean? But we'll never find out. We'll never know.
We also got a little bit of Clancy Brown, Mr. Krabs.
Oh yeah, yes.
He was one of the parents.
Yep.
Earl Haley, of course, as we know, is Freddie.
Yep.
Just good. We already talked about how great he is. Decker from the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Oh yeah, the blonde girl's boyfriend.
Yeah, blonde girl's boyfriend.
Yep, that guy.
Blonde girl herself. I'm not familiar with. I think she was in she's in Arrow. I never watched.
Okay,
Arrow.
and that's Katie Cassidy, right?
Yeah.
She was also in just like a lot of like, she popped up in things around that time. She's also David Cassidy's daughter.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good for her.
So
good for him.
Good for him. And then we have.
What do I know Kyle Gallner from? I feel like
he's been in a lot. He was in a lot of shit around that time too. He was also Beaver from Veronica Mars. That's how I know him. Right. He's been in some shit. He's popped up. I think this
Red State, maybe.
Oh yeah, he's in Red State. Oh, that's an intense one. So yeah, the cast is quite interesting. So what are some things you did not like about this movie?
Again, it's not very creative. Like again, I want more wild, creative, especially we're going inside people's dreams, which can get bonkers, but nothing is bonkers. It's like usually basic like sets of like, ooh, a scary boiler room. It looks nice, but like nothing's really happening. Freddie just pushes a kid against the like pipes and is like, mash, flash. And then Yeah, it's we're just in the school hallway. Slash your little shoulder. Like he's not doing much where like he's being a bigger, scarier threat.
That's true. So for me, like, I don't necessarily mind that, because in my view is that this is a straight up remake. This is taking the shit from the original and like putting it in 2010, putting our own little like kind of fresh sprinkles on certain things. So that's why I like it, because I do conceptually really like the first Freddy. I like the idea of Freddy. I think it is really scary to think about. So that's, I don't necessarily mind that.
The idea of like someone's attacking in your sleep, there's zero things you can do about it,
right?
Unless your imagination is so powerful to stop him.
Yeah.
I like the idea that she's able to pull Freddy out of the dream, but towards the end we got really sloppy. I couldn't tell when they're sleeping and when they're not, and it seemed like Freddy was attacking them outside of dreams, because it didn't seem like they were actually sleeping unless they were like sleepwalking. So it was hard to keep track of who's sleeping and not, because the brief flashes were weird.
Yeah, that did happen. Yeah.
The character of, I think it's Quentin, was swimming,
right,
and all of a sudden he gets pulled under more, and I thought, well, he's not sleeping, so why is Freddy attacking him?
Right. And then he gets pulled into this dream world because he is knocked unconscious from drowning, but he started to drown because something pulled him. So then it's like, okay, did Freddy try to drown him to put him in consciousness? But then how would Freddy do that? It'd make more sense if like he was so out of it and sleepy that he like hit his head or something, or whatever.
Yeah, or when he dove in, he bonked his head.
Yeah. And then
that's what I thought this was going, but like I think it was inconsistent with when Freddy could attack.
Yeah.
So having a better established Freddy can attack would help this, I guess, the story a bit better. Because I was getting lost. I was like, what do we... I know Freddy's murdering kids, but like, let's keep our one rule consistent, please.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You got to stick to the rules if you lay them out. And the concept alone, like, you can find a way to get them with him, because eventually with sleeping your body will just like shut itself down,
conk out. Yeah,
so like we don't need to have Freddy like fuck with our real world to get the kids in the dream. They're gonna get in there at some point. That's part of the scare, is they can't escape him. They have to sleep at some point. I don't know, that horror hits me because I really do have sleep issues and I don't like it. That
sounds not great.
No, it's terrible.
One thing I did think was interesting cast wise, Aaron Yu pops up in an uncredited spot as another kid from their original class, all grown up.
Yeah,
they had a video about how he's getting attacked in his nightmares and then gets murdered on screen. He's so brief, but he was also in Friday the 13th.
Oh yeah, Friday the 13th. Yeah. He and very, again, an actor very much of the time. Love him. Great. I like that that role. I think that was also a really interesting addition of having it in 2010, was now we can like use the internet at our disposal, which was pretty cool. And yeah, she finds like a vlogger who's like, I'm having this fucked up situation, like this is wild. Then he falls asleep on camera and boom, is dead. I thought like, oh, that's fun.
Technology wise in the movie, they have super old phones where it's not a touch screen, there's no internet, it's just like where you can text.
Flip phone, baby.
Flip phones.
Yeah.
Yikes, what a time to be alive. Another uncredited person in this movie. There was a lot of, for some reason, uncredited people. I don't know why they just didn't want their names to be attached to this movie for their briefness. Judith Hogue was in it briefly as a nurse that's trying to put her to sleep.
That's right. Yeah,
that's original April O'Neil from the Ninja Turtle movies. I was like, what is she doing here?
Right. And the mom from Halloween Town, classic Halloween lady.
Oh Christ. I don't have much to say about it. Is there anything you super disliked about this movie or super loved about this movie?
No.
You know why? Because this movie is
It's
the
just
most
fine.
mediocre movie there was. And so I'm gonna wrap this up right now. What I thought.
Sure.
If you've never seen this movie before, watch it. Why not? If you want to see something new at Halloween time, perfect thing to watch. Is it gonna change your life? No. Is it? But like, it was okay. If you've already seen it before, you don't need to see it again. Because if you've forgotten about it, it's because it was boring. It just was okay. There's a lot of good elements of it, but it's just like, I don't know, same shit, different movie, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't wow me. I say no need for a second chance, because like I felt the same way I did the first time. Just all right.
So I'm gonna say I think this does deserve a second chance
Ah.
because the critics are fucking harsh, like really harsh.
I'm gonna take my thing back. Everyone should just not shit on it as much as they did.
Yeah.
15% is outrageous.
It's not that bad. Like, there's so many other worse movies than this.
Minimum 59%.
Yeah, I would
just
agree
barely
with
a stinker.
Yeah,
because it wasn't awful. It is the exact thing I expected it out to be. So
yeah,
good job, movie. Yeah,
you did it. You literally, like, hey, they set out to remake A Nightmare on Elm Street, and they remade A Nightmare on Elm Street. Bam, no more, no less.
And for someone who's never watched the originals, I had a fine time with it.
I mean, that's the thing too. I think that this is a good, if we're saying remake, like very specifically just taking the movie and doing it again,
and not a reboot.
I think that this is solid in that, like, it literally does just remake the movie, have some better visuals, take some things up a step, and that's not bad. I think that, you know, Jackie Earle Haley was a great cast for Freddy. I think that goes a really long way, especially for a movie like this where a villain is like such a strong, iconic. You know, I think visually it's really good.
Robert Englund. I feel like we haven't said his name the entire time. No, we have not. Let's mention original Freddy Krueger.
And I think it's a good movie for like Halloween time. If you're not looking for anything like too gruesome, gritty horror, just like kind of a light horror movie, like this will do.
Snuggle up with the loved one on the sofa. Yeah. Unless you're me and your loved one hates horror.
It's a good movie to put like Halloween decorations up to. Like, it's not as bad. It's not abysmal. Is it the best? No, I think Joe said it perfectly. When it's just mediocre, and sometimes that's fine. Like, sometimes you don't need to watch the best movie ever made. Sometimes you just want to
imagine having to watch a better movie every time you watched a movie.
I mean, at some point it's going to be impossible. At some point you're going to be mad every time you watch a movie.
Your standards would never hit.
Never, ever. So yeah, I think it does deserve a second chance in that it's better than I think people said it was back in the day. And I think it's
fucking
just like
original elitist.
And it's fine. It's fine for right now, for October, for spooky season. Throw it on. Fuck it. Why not? All right. So watch it or don't, whatever. As Roger Ebert would say, so what? So what? Oh, we forgot to do a ranking of the remakes.
We haven't forgotten it because you're talking about it now.
Okay.
Well, now that we've wrapped up the episode.
Yeah. If you stuck around, if you're a real fan, you get a real treat.
All right. So let's list all these movies off. And you know what? Let's just rank them. We don't need to list off. You've been listening. Yeah. Loyal fans.
So there's four movies, four horror remakes. Horror reboots, remakes from the mid 2000s that we talked about.
What was your least favorite?
Sorry, Eric Balfour, it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
It is with me, but why for you?
It is such a remake in that we are literally taking Texas Chainsaw and we're putting it here But
you could say that with all of them though. Me,
that's true.
It's just dirty, it's grimy, and it's
dirty
gross.
and it's grimy and it's
I
gross.
feel like
yeah.
I want to clean. I like take a shower immediately after watching it.
Yeah.
It's just, and it's about like a gross family that just hacking up people for no fucking reason. No.
Yeah. Well, I think
it looks. It's probably one of the better looking ones, but it's not my cup of tea of like the way it looks. So
yeah.
sorry, you're at the bottom. You having Eric Balfour does bump it up a couple notches, but
Yeah, it's great.
Unfortunately the movie didn't. What's
Didn't
your number
carry
3?
It all. My number 3 would be Halloween.
Okay, why is that?
Similar to what you just said about Texas Chainsaw. Like for me, I like some parts of Halloween and I get what they were going for, and that's fine. But it's for me at this age in my life, like I can't be watching all that dark shit all the time. Like that stuff is heavy. It is too much. It's like I need to keep that arm's length, you know? So
my number 3 is Nightmare on Elm Street, because it's just how mediocre it is. It's just like, I don't care. The entire time I'm just like, whatever. Okay, number 2.
Number 2. Oh, this is the final 2 are difficult for me.
My number 2.
Okay.
Because we're gonna know what the number 1 is afterwards. But my number 2 is Halloween. I think it just shots look great. It gives me an like on the edge of my seat feel of like, ooh, Michael's so creepy. I don't know what's gonna happen. What poor kid is gonna get gutted next? Oh no, everything looks good. It doesn't win out just because of how like, I don't know if vulgar is the right word, but it's just like it's so early 2000s like dialogue that like it doesn't carry well to today.
Mm-hmm.
Had the dialogue not been there, it probably would be number 1.
Okay. I think that if the dialogue was a little different, I might have felt the same way, that I could stomach parts of it more. I don't know. It's good, but it's dark, man. It's dark energy.
I'm gonna skull fuck you. Oh, okay.
I don't like that at all.
Okay, you probably shouldn't say that in front of her children, but whatever. It's a very loving relationship.
Okay, so my number 2 is gonna be Friday the 13th.
Interesting.
I appreciate this because it's not so much a remake as it is like a continuation, and like that's cool, that's different. There are some things I really did like about it. But it's just something about it, like it, I don't know, like there's just something about it that it's not like I'm gonna watch this again. Absolutely. It's
okay.
You know, I don't know. It's not bad, but it's also just not like great.
So what's your number 1?
So my number 1's A Nightmare on Elm Street.
That's so bonkers to me. Why is it number 1 out of all these we just watched?
Because out of all the best, in my opinion, it's the best remake. Like it's the best at bringing this classic horror into this time period, which would for this be 2010. Again, like we were just talking about, like, you know, I think that some of the elements that make it a remake are really good and really strong. I also think that this was a really good way of introducing new audiences to the already told story, in a way that's interesting and engaging. So for me, I think it's better in that way.
My number 1 is Friday the 13th.
Okay.
Because it's campy.
Because it's campy as hell. Yeah, that is fun.
Yeah, I did a pun there. But it's not only does it feel like a reboot, but it also is definitely a sequel, because it shows things of what happened from the previous one. It feels like the sequel to the original, and they just forgot all like 2 through Jason X.
Yeah.
So also I just feel like we had a more fun cast of characters I was either rooting for or rooting against, because like out of all the other movies, I have forgotten most of the characters that are in them, and I remember everyone else I remember at least majority. I could probably name all the people that are there.
Yeah, that's fair. I would agree with that. Yeah.
They're also in it, which is the reason I watch slasher movies. Creative ways each person gets killed off. And
That's true.
I feel like with Freddy, everyone just gets slashed. With like Jason, they're getting stabbed and slashed, gutted, and like just shot with an arrow in the head out of nowhere.
That's true. Yeah.
What?
All right.
Like, and so yeah, it wins out for me just because like it just I think it also just plays into being fun the entire time. Which is what I like in a movie. I do think that all the movies kind of ended the same with our character, with our villain not really dead and trying to get someone at the last minute.
Yeah, I think they were all definitely open for future movies.
All four ended the same way.
That's true. Yeah.
I was not surprised by the end. I was like, oh, it's gonna end with him attacking at least one of them right there. And it did.
It did. Yeah, it's true. I think they're like truly moral of the story for these 4 movies is that like, no, they weren't great, but they also weren't as bad as y'all made it out to be. Like, that's how I feel about all 4 of them. Even Texas Chainsaw Massacre, what they were going for, they achieved. Like, I just didn't, it was a lot, but like
every one of these movies looked good. Again, I think with with it being like 20-30 years since the originals, they all look better than the originals.
Yeah, I would agree.
Acting is better than the originals. Just everything is just better. It's just the nostalgic feel of like, oh, it's the original, I have to love it more. You don't have to.
No, you don't. Like, so yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't think they were bad remakes, really. Just kind of depends on what you like personally as well. I think that like kind of gets into it.
I do think horror is also a genre that not everyone is like on board for.
That too. I mean, that like, already. Yeah.
People don't like being scared. People don't like watching people get murdered, and people don't like blood. You know, there's so many things about these that it's like hard to find an audience.
Right.
Because these are not movies that are widely for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah, I would agree. That already has it working against it. You know, so
tell me about it.
So I had a lot of fun revisiting these 4 though, even if like I didn't love them all. Like, it was just fun, like going back to like the early mid 2000s and like seeing, like we said, all these people, like all these actors, like where are they at now? Like, this is so weird.
I think a lot of actors, there's a lot of actors that get their start in like cheesy horror movies.
Yes.
And I can even name like Johnny Depp and Kevin Bacon from 80s horrors of these movies.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's just
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of them got their big breaks there, so it is fun seeing that happen.
I agree. I had a lot of fun just revisiting them because of the actors, because of how they looked, like the movie, not the actors. So that's vain as hell. But yeah, I enjoyed it. You know, but I like horror. If you don't like horror, I don't know if you're gonna enjoy any of these movies.
I can tell you right now, the wife won't. She absolutely refused to watch any of them. I listed all the movies I'd watched this month, and she's like, "No, no, I'll listen to your podcast. Absolutely not going to watch any of them. Watch it without me."
That's fine. It's not for everyone. Okay.
So I will have to watch all 16 of the Freddy and Jason movies and report back to you guys.
Please get back to us and let us know your thoughts.
Oh man, that's so many movies.
That's a lot of movies. All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening to another episode of Second Chance Movies. As always, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd. Follow us there. We want to hear from you. You can also listen on wherever you find your podcast. We are also on YouTube if you would like a visual episode. Hello.
See these adorable faces.
These cute little faces just chatting away. Thank you, as always, to Beaty McBeatface for our dope theme song. That is just so much fun, and we love it so much. And yeah, we'll be back next week with another Second Chance movie.
So what?
So what? So what?
Also, Blu-ray is awesome.
Second Chance